There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Welcome to the final entry in our Ready When You Are CB series, 1993's mockumentary, The Making of And God Spoke. This movie follows a producing-directing team as they attempt to adapt some summer beach book into a movie. I think the book's called The Bibble? Did I get that right? No, I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. It's all about the process. You get me? Apparently, in this cinematic universe, this Bibble is like super popular and stuff, and except one of the major characters, Stevis, I think his name is, doesn't even show up in the first half of the book. So, these guys are fighting an uphill battle. Oh, they do have this other guy, I don't know, Morris, Mocius, I don't know, who has kind of a bad stomach or something because he's always carrying around his tablets, which I guess are some kind of antacid or something. Oh, and there's a garden in the evening, and there's like these naked people who live there, and there's someone who needs a cane to be able to walk. I tried to read this book before the show, and I just couldn't make any sense out of it.
You are a tool bag.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some, there's some decent action sequences, but some of it is just gross. And, I just couldn't get into this God character. What a grouch. I don't think I'm going to read any more of the books in this series, But speaking of series, I'm your semi-serious host, Max. But my brother Esau is an hairy man, but I am a smooth man, Levine. And over there, descending from on high, is the Archangel Michael. You are so getting a smite loose. What word do you bring from heaven, the Archangel Michael?
You have never been more fired than you are right now.
Oh, we both know that's not true.
So immensely, immaculately fired. Max is very sorry, in general, but...
Well, if I've offended anyone out there...
Well, there goes our last listener.
Sorry, Fada. But before we ensure our flight to hell, we have our...
Poll question.
Last week we asked you, is there a movie that's taught you any real life lessons?
Not true for Max.
You didn't say they had to be good lessons.
I suppose.
Dave says, I enjoy an occasional story that has a moral message or that tries to teach. The low-lying fruit, I assume he means the low-hanging fruit, are, of course, Buckaroo Banzai.
Huh? Oh.
Because wherever you go, there you are. Yep. It's a good lesson. Yep. And Mystery Men, everything the Sphinx said was brilliant, despite the cynicism of Ben Stiller's character. Well, if you do not master your rage will be your master. I wasn't going to say that necessarily. But for me... And by me, I mean Dave, I would suppose Slaughterhouse-Five, which teaches you that you are who you pretend to be, so you had better be careful about who you pretend to be.
Oh.
Huh. I suspect this life lesson, though useful, has limited my effectiveness as a political animal. But, like Popeye, I am what I am. Very appropriate for Thanksgiving.
Sure.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, boy. And remember, yams are not sweet potatoes.
Yep. Adam Mark, our scholar, says, The Care Bears movie, 1985.
What?
Where I learned that, no, F that, psych!
Okay.
You got us, Adam. With Outbreak, 1995, I learned that they rate movies R for a reason.
Well, okay. R for reason.
Yeah, there you go. C for Catwoman.
No!
I was in 7th grade, and they played the film depicting a fictional 100% fatal Ebola/hantavirus infecting a town of people in the U.S. via a smuggled pet monkey. Yeah, I remember, and You Have to Be Saved by Dustin Hoffman. Ooh, scary. As a part of my middle school's Christmas celebrations.
Huh?
Yeah, Plague at Christmas. Ho, ho, ho!
Okay.
Looking up the film now, it was rated R for nudity and adult language, but the depiction of multiple perfectly nice people violently seizing up and dying on screen is seared into my retinas. They showed this to children?
Wow.
Gosh. Including a young McDreamy, I now realize. Oh dear. I was greatly frightened during the film and begged to be excused. Alas, the tyranny that is middle school meant I had to stay with the other students, and I spent the next hour continuing to watch people seizing and dying, trying to look away, but with the impulse controls of a 12-year-old, I was unable to.
Okay.
It was in no way an enjoyable film for a child/preteen. The scariest film I've ever experienced. I had nightmares for years. You can only imagine how much I enjoyed the COVID pandemic. So yeah, movies are rated for a reason. That was my lesson. Ouch!
I think there's another lesson here. The lesson is don't watch movies. Oh wait, no, that's not the lesson.
What? Are you mad, man?
Our show's over. It was fun.
Wow. I'm so sorry, Adam.
Yeah.
Ursula Murray Husted says, sounds like a joke, but I am 8 years older than my brother, and the labyrinth made me stop wishing he'd disappear. Even with the incentive of David Bowie. Turned out I liked the little dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta say, I think Toby got a raw deal out of it. I mean, come on. He had a chance to be raised in a magical kingdom surrounded by mythical creatures by David freaking Bowie.
It's crotch.
Well, that too. His package was involved a lot in most of the shots, but
that's not a package you want for Christmas. Well, not everybody. Yeah, here's the thing. That resonated with me because when I was brought home from the hospital, my sister, who is 3 years older than I am.
my sister, it's Chinatown.
No, it was my sister. She hit me in the head with a cap pistol and said, I'd rather have a dog. And to this day, that's still true. Yeah.
Regan McStravick says, I tend to think the strongest teaching opportunities in media come from more subtle messages that just sort of sneak into our group's psyche. I've always felt like The Breakfast Club made me, and others, maybe open our minds just a bit to the idea that all those people out there who we have no real cultural connection to might still have lives and stories that we might find compelling, if we are just open to hearing them. And I truly think that part of what made Obama electable was several decades of movies where the POTUS, or other political leader, was played by Morgan Freeman or James Earl Jones or Denzel Washington or the Allstate guy with the great voice. I'm sorry, dude. You will now and always be the Allstate guy. You've done a ton of other stuff, but that's who you are.
It's like Mayhem for the other one.
That's right. Oh.
I don't know. Well,
he's a Baldwin, but he's not one of those Baldwins.
Oh, I didn't even know he had a name. I thought he was just Mayhem.
No, wait, I'm wrong. He's the guy I always mix up with Adam Baldwin. It isn't him, but yeah, I can't remember what his real name is.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
It's like Flo. Nobody knows Flo's real name either.
Yeah.
So Regan's whole message there with his choice, which was something I literally just forgot. His whole message is people with dandruff aren't bad people. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, and fortunately, unlike Adam, he's saying movies are good.
Yeah. Adam didn't say that. I said that.
Yes.
I was wrong, too. Anyway.
Well, that's nothing new. Meddling landscape painter and freelance investigator who won't stop foiling my plans, Degsy O'Brien.
I hope any of that's true, especially the last part.
I had a good think about this and found that most of the obvious ones actually taught me how not to be.
Oh.
Like how not to be seen? And it might be surprising to some, but my answer has to be The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Oh,
don't pick up the one ring. Yes, that's what he means.
Yeah. Don't get involved in a riddle game. There are some really quotable pieces of wisdom in it. It's a dangerous business, Frodo, going out your door. You step onto the road and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. I wish none of this had ever happened. So do all who live. I can't do Ian McKellen, but so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. Many that live deserve death. Some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them, Frodo? Do not be too eager to deal out death in judgment. Even the very wise cannot see all ends.
Unless it's D&D.
I found it is the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay, small acts of kindness and love. Also, they validated the concept of second breakfasts, so there's that then. Very good points, very good points.
Yeah.
And one who learns the harsh lessons of the cold and snowy north, where it's a penguin-eat-penguin world, Vince, tells us, many films have certainly had profound effects on me, but finding a life lesson is a little elusive. Maybe a bit superficial, but Rocky Horrors, Don't Dream It Be It, definitely influenced me in my life. But maybe Amélie made me aware that you could do good things and help people without credit or attention, and it would enrich your life as well. Plus, you might end up meeting a cute boy who works in a sex shop.
That could happen. See Eurotrip on our entire episode thereon.
Very impressive.
Well, I think also he left out the lesson that's the most important, which is if you have a garden gnome, send it around the world.
Yeah. Garden gnomes like to travel.
Yeah. No, don't back up.
And apparently also like to sell insurance.
Sure.
Or no, that was Travelocity, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe.
Was it?
Kalaka, whatever that thing was. I don't remember. Karnak.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Shish boom ba. I don't. But according to the blinking thing on the phone here, I think there's actually.
Yes, there's one other.
Your date.
Hang on. I got to get some Dapper Dan hair oil in.
How about Wetsy Betsy?
A little Banaka there.
Yeah, Banaka Blast.
Hello, Doris.
Hello, Max Mike Movies. Hello, Max. I came to answer the poll question. You asked if there was any movie that taught you something. Well, I can't think of one of those right now, but there was one television show that taught me something very important. And that was how to chew bubblegum and blow bubbles with it. I was watching Get Smart one day, and Max didn't know. Isn't that funny? Max's name is Max, too. Anyway, Max didn't know how to blow a bubble with bubblegum, so 99 taught him. And I was like, oh, I could do that, too. So that's how I learned. I hope you guys have had a very happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I can't wait to hear next week's episode. Bye.
Okay, it's technically not a movie, although they did make a movie about it, but that is a good life lesson, how to blow bubbles with bubble gum. Now, what about you, Mike? What's a movie that taught you something?
Well, when I came up with the question, it was actually not based on a movie, and I did say that at the end of last week's episode, that my answer would not come from a film. It actually comes from an episode of Star Trek. And not only do I think it's a good life lesson, I remember learning it so well that I can't remember to what it applied. And that lesson is from an episode of Star Trek called Amok Time. And it's after he's gone through his little 7-year itch there. And he's...
I gots to get pon farred, baby!
I think you went a little pon too far, if you know what I mean. But he turns to Stan, the aptly named Stan.
Hello, I'm Stan.
Spock says something to the effect of, you may find after a while that having is not so pleasing a thing as wanting. And I remember there was something as a kid that I really wanted, and I heard that, and I thought about it, and I thought past actually wanting it and getting it and what I would or wouldn't do with it, and realized that he was right. Wanting that thing was a lot more fun than actually probably owning it, and I never got it, and I still to this day don't know what it was. So Spock for the win for me. But
thank you, Spock. Thank you, Spock.
Now, I'm going to ask this question of you, Max, in the utter optimism that there might actually be an answer for something that taught you anything. But, Max, is there a movie that gave you a life lesson that you actually learned?
Yes, American Pie taught me you should not have sex with a pie.
See, that's about what I expected.
No, oddly enough, you see, I mistook it when you said life lesson. I thought like something practical.
Well, it could be.
One movie that actually taught me something, I don't know if it's practical, but very interesting, was Contagion. It was another plague movie, only I thought much scarier than Outbreak because it's very realistic. And it's not just a town, it's the whole world.
But it's Dustin Hoffman free.
Yes, it is 100% Dustin Hoffman free. But the fact that you touch your face every 90 seconds.
Oh.
I thought that was really interesting when they talk about that's one of the major reasons that diseases can get transmitted is we don't realize how often we bring our hands, which come in contact with everything, up to our faces. I was so conscious of that after that movie for months. I would be like, bring my hand up. Ah! Wait, bring my hand up. Ah! See, so I was going more for the practical as opposed to the emotional or life lesson. But I kind of got to agree with my nemesis, Degsy.
He's not your nemesis. He's a very nice person, I'm sure.
Yes, but he keeps foiling my evil real estate schemes.
You've never even met him.
No, but when I do, it'll be all over.
Oh, shut up.
But Lord of the Rings, I thought a lot of the idea, for me, the thing that Lord of the Rings, both the book and the movie, taught me that I thought was so interesting was you don't have to be the epic hero. You don't have to be Aragorn to change the world. The ordinary small people, the hobbits, can do just as much. I got that out of the book, and I like that they reiterated it in the movie.
See, I always hoped that you would learn the lesson to brush your feet, because Max never brushes his feet.
Don't oppress me. Racist.
No, I think there's a lot of good lessons in there, and all the ones that Degsy brought up, but the fact that when you look at it, it's not, Aragorn isn't the hero. Yes, he does a lot of heroic things, but it's basically implied pretty heavily that he wouldn't have been able to resist the ring as long as Frodo did. Because remember, Frodo does give in at the end.
Yep.
So the true hero of the book is gravity, honestly. Because gravity...
We love you, gravity.
It takes hold of Smeagol and the Precious and draws them into the lava, and that's the end of that.
Yeah.
So, gravity's for the win.
Yep. But those were very cool answers, and we are hoping, praying, wishing...
Lusting.
However the rest... itching, flaking...
retching.
that you'll have more of them. For this our next week's question, well, 2 weeks, but we'll get to that. Whose opinion most affects your choice of movie viewing? Your friends or professional movie critics?
Ooh.
What is more likely to push you to see a movie? Gets good reviews, or your friends say, we really liked it? And at the end of this show, before all things run amok, we'll tell you how to answer.
I hope.
Yeah. But now, the facts. Very, very small amounts of stuff. Yeah, there's not a lot out there about the making of And God Spoke.
Or, as it says in the title cards, And God Spoke, parentheses, the making of, so take your pick.
Yeah.
Tell us the three things, Max.
Well, the budget is, I can't find it, but I can tell you, apparently it made $16,000 in the theaters. Which I think probably covered the fees for the guest stars.
I see. The little fable doesn't come to the same ending in real life as it does in the movie.
Now, the only person they've really... one of the only people they actually talked to, or has anyone said anything, is, of course, Don Neum, who is probably the most recognizable and memorable character in the movie. I'm sure you remember Don, right?
Don Neum?
Yep.
No.
Might be Niam. Oh, he was auditioner number 7.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Yeah, for what?
He was in the beginning when everyone's auditioning for Jesus.
Oh, okay. No.
He was not officially cast in any role, but his audition footage was used, according to him, without his consent.
Ah.
He had been told he was promised the role opposite Lou Ferrigno, who, of course, as you would guess, plays Cain in the biblical story, but he was not cast because he was too muscular. This is, again, what he claims.
Well, we don't know what he looks like, but the person they did actually pick, let's see how to put this, wasn't.
Yeah, that was, we'll get to that when we get to the cast.
I had to actually look that up, and it's like, is that really who I think it is? Oh, God, it is.
It really is. It really is. The director, Arthur Borman, said that Eve Plum's appearance, yes, Jan Brady is in this movie, was kind of a fluke, resulting from one of her friends being an actor in the film. He said the opportunity to work with the Brady Bunch vet was a coup envied by every Gen Xer.
Well,
quote, out of all the actors on the set, I was most starstruck by her than by anyone. The Brady heritage is just so ingrained.
It's true.
Additionally, Tamara Mello, who I'm sure you remember as the Dial S woman.
Oh.
She has a small role in the film. She would go on to appear in 1995's The Brady Bunch movie. Oh my God, an accident, a coincidence, a conspiracy? I'd discuss it more, but why? There is unbelievably little out there about this. I found like 2 reviews.
Yeah?
And there's like, the Wikipedia page is shorter than the IMDb page.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
There's nothing. I think this movie did not make much of a ripple. I remember the title. I heard about it. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know. I thought the title was And God Spoke. I didn't know it was the making of.
And I think that may have been one of their problems, but...
yeah.
So what you're saying is that after our show, people will have, let's see how to put this, plenty of time for shopping.
Yep. Plenty of time for shopping or balancing your checkbook, thinking about your life decisions.
Well, if we have a short show, we have a short show. It's about time.
We do. But I suppose we should get to the plot.
Yeah, this will be fun. And short, I'm betting.
Yeah, well, a documentary crew, sure, is following the directing producing team of Clive Walton and Marvin Handelman, creators of such classics as Nude Ninjas, as they tackle their first studio-based blockbuster and God Spoke, a movie that is the entire Bible?
Yeah.
Well, sure, at first, but, the studio has notes and ideas, like cutting the really depressing bits, like those miserable Psalms, they're so depressing. And also Job, and eventually Jesus, because, come on, it's not like Jeebus is critical to the story or anything. Through the mockumentarian's lens, we see the movie go off the rails, not that it had much in the way of rails in the first place, and go careening through the Garden of Eden, the story of Cain and Abel, Noah and the Ark, and Moses on Mount Sinai, complete with his blessed 6-pack of Coca-Cola. Just like in Exodus 2 to the N minus 1. And, of course, no biblical epic would be complete without some accordion music. Gotta have that, just like the prophet Yankovic spoke of in Avogadro 3491 Hike. Strap in, it's gonna be a bumpy creationist nightmare. The film.
You said bumpy.
I did.
This film might have been made by a pony.
I think that would have been an improvement. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah. Let's talk about the cast.
Sure. This is starring a lot of Hollywood favorites like,
and...
Yeah, the 2 leads are Michael Riley and Stephen Rappaport. They play the director, Clive Walton, and the producer, big wheeler, Marvin Handelman. Clive Walton, by the way, his real name is probably Sidney Applebaum or some such. Well, his first name is Sidney.
He's a vampire.
Yeah, that's it. The vampire Sidney Applebaum. Yep.
I think they work fine. Honestly, I believed exactly who they were trying to portray that they were. I believe that one of them was a director that believed in the, art of cinema and didn't really understand what that meant. And the other one was a producer that dreamt of actually making a film somebody had actually seen, but probably would never get there. The thing I found really most interesting about them was their chemistry. It was really weird because half the time I'm like, are you still seeing each other? Have you broken up, but now you're back together?
Yeah, seriously. There were a number of points where it's like, just kiss already.
I know. But
they do nothing with that. But even the body language, everything.
Yeah. You get the impression that they've known each other for a long time, potentially all the way through high school, maybe longer. So in that respect, I think they do a perfectly fine job. I don't know them from anything else. Apparently, one of them was an episode of Star Trek Voyager, among other things. But I don't know.
They've done a lot of TV work. That's about it.
Hey, good for them.
The other people in the cast are
nude ninjas.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of people credited for nude ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I gotta say is funnier than the idea of it is funnier than this movie is.
Let's get back to the footage part because I definitely want to talk about that. We have lovely Wilhelm, the master, gardener master of the ninjas. There's a bunch of, let's put it this way, there's a bunch of and the rest. This is a big and the rest cast, not only on screen but off screen. They're just because they show people trying out for various roles and they literally have 3-5 second shot and that's it. But
there are some
we have some amazingly surprising studio guests, people of. Although even then, it's
these are like C-list cameos.
Yeah,
Moses, for example, is portrayed by Soupy Sales. Does anyone remember who Soupy Sales was?
Well, and Soupy Sales, he's actually, people might know him around here because he was originally from Detroit and he had a Detroit kids show and that's where he got found. And so he was around the Detroit area. He apparently was a big thing. And then he got picked up for his stand-up and stuff like that. And then very quickly, from what I can tell, he wandered into the game show talk show guest thing because
circuit. Okay.
As a kid I knew who Soupy Sales was, but I don't know him from anything. Do you?
Yeah, I knew the name. I mean, that's a pretty memorable name, I'll give him that. No, I couldn't tell you anything he was in, except I know that if I watched something with him in it would be like, oh, I saw that, he was in that. Okay.
I gotta say, for his little tiny role, I thought he was funny.
Yeah, and he is clearly making an effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has 5 lines, but he does fine.
But now by 1993, you're right, who the hell knew who Soupy Sales was?
Seriously.
Yeah.
And then we get Eve Plum.
I didn't know. She popped up and it's like, oh dear God, because they put her name up, and of course she's an adult by this point. They put her name up and it's like, oh no, it really is her. Now, at this point, I don't know that Eve Plum was doing a lot of acting, because I think that most of the Bradys, the few that tried to go into and stay into acting, tended to, sadly, they were typecast. That's not their fault, but they were typecast and tended not to do a lot, and then went on to do other things, and I believe that Eve Plum was one of them. So I was actually pleasantly surprised. I was like, I'll be good damned, that really is her. And she's fine.
Yeah, she does. She's fine.
She does a great job portraying herself.
Yeah.
To be fair,
and then there's
not everyone can do that. I've seen actors playing themselves and do a bad job, so I'll give a little.
Really? Like who?
Oh, like you're going to ask me, like I know off the top of my head. I can't remember, but I definitely remember seeing.
I'm curious. I believe it. I'd love an example. If it comes to you later, let me know. But and then we get Cain and Abel, who are Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk from the TV show, and Andy Dick,
who is
the
so
man
well
with the
named.
most unfortunate name.
Oh no, it's not. Have you ever seen anything with him in it?
Yes, I have, and yes, it's a very appropriate name. I remember him mostly from the sitcom News Radio.
Okay, I didn't even know he'd gotten that far. He's like an even more annoying Pauly Shore.
He's like Pauly Shore on about 5 times as much cocaine.
Oh, every time I've seen him, he's just been obnoxious. Especially if he's on like a talk show or a reality type show or whatever. He's just,
Now, the visual of him and Lou Ferrigno fighting is pretty funny.
Oh.
Because Lou Ferrigno is about 5 times his size.
I mean, quite honestly, seeing Lou Ferrigno punch out Andy Dick was worth the whole movie.
Honestly, yeah, that was really the highlight.
And Lou, of course, is Lou. He's fine. He's there to be very large and muscular, at which he excels.
Yes, he is. He's there to be huge.
Yeah.
And he does it beautifully. And yeah. So those are the major ones. There's a couple of other odd castings in this.
Well, there's one other cameo.
You mean Michael?
Yes.
Yes, Michael Medved.
Yeah.
The film critic, one of the guys behind the Golden Turkey Awards,
Yep.
appears in a brief clip playing himself.
Yeah.
Now, when I saw that, I still wondered, was this filmed for the movie? Because he never mentions the movie's title.
Yeah.
Or was it just a clip and they said, "Hi, Mr. Medved, we'd like to use this clip of you"?
Don't know.
I don't either. There was no way to find out.
Of course, Michael Medved, Michael and his brother Harry, who wrote Golden Turkey Awards, was, besides famous monsters of Filmland, at least my entry into the world of bad films. This is where I first heard of Ed Wood. And of course, at that point, was desperate to see things like Plan 9, but you couldn't because no TV station, even the UHF ones, would show it.
Nobody. You had to wait till a film festival or something.
Or the Off the Wall Theater in Central Square.
Yep.
Thank you, Off the Wall. I was thrilled. The first time I got to see Glenn or Glenda or Plan 9, I was thrilled. And that led to a long, long history of watching really bad movies. And at the time, the book was really fun. It was a lot of fun. I think it came out like 78, something like that. 78, 79.
Something like that.
And I really liked... I was hoping they'd do more because it's like, hey, bad films are fun. Let's do more with this. And then he got serious. He actually got picked up as one of the new hosts of sneak previews when the main guys said, hey, there's money in this. The hell with PBS. We're going to go on and make our own show where we get paid and stuff. And
we want our names in it, Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah. So he was one of the 2 critics. And then he kind of wanted to be taken seriously. And he was like this...
And it all went downhill.
I thought so. Yeah. I didn't like him on that show. Did you?
No, I thought he got much nastier.
Yeah.
And he got a lot more pretentious.
And I just kept looking at him going, yeah, but Ed Wood. That's where you came from. So whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. That was the other cameo I wanted to put in. But yeah.
There's a couple of other cast things I thought were kind of interesting for casting.
Yeah.
One was the guy who played God. Oh, yeah, who was a complete unknown, well, almost complete unknown, named R.C. Bates. And he's best known for, he's done a lot of TV. He tends to play homeless man, street person, bum. That's literally one of his credits is bum. And you look at him and you go, yep. The other one, and this was just weird because I wondered, they show you one of the Foley artists, a guy they called John Post. And I'm like, all right, maybe this is a real Foley artist. So I looked him up. No, John Post was played by Jim Post. Not very imaginative name choice. Jim Post was a folk singer. He was actually a one-hit wonder in the 60s with his song Reach Out of the Darkness, which charted in 1968. I don't know what he's doing in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
So I thought he's probably the most interesting casting choice.
I think it's even more interesting that they couldn't get a real Foley person because
seriously,
either it was too expensive or none of them wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Weird. So that's right. There's our cast, ladies and gentlemen. Let's, Nude Ninja.
Nude Ninjas.
Take a Nude Ninja out of petty cash.
All I could think when they were showing the clip from Nude Ninjas is first off, wow, this is filmed in somebody's bedroom. And the ninja master's name is Wilhelm. Please don't let him scream.
So, it's a mockumentary.
Yeah.
And I forgot to check, we are post This Is Spinal Tap, right?
I believe so. I think that was 91.
Okay. If it is not post Spinal Tap, I will be amazed, quite honestly, because let's face it, the whole mockumentary thing. Oh,
I wasn't even close. It's 1984.
84, yeah, okay.
Yeah, way posted.
Spinal Tap invented its own subgenre. It really did.
Yeah,
and
it did.
We talked about this and how influential it was on other things. And This film would not exist without Spinal Tap, but I think there's another film it wouldn't exist without, and the footage is where I think it gets the other giant chunk of its inspiration, and that is the Kentucky Fried Movie.
Oh, yeah, I think so. The sort of episodic nature of it. Yeah.
Well, just the movies themselves had a very Kentucky Fried feel, like Dial S for Sex and Nude Ninjas, and I forget, there was another one.
There was a werewolf one or something.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I kind of want to see those movies.
Yeah, honestly, a couple of them look like they could be funny.
Yeah. I mean, horrible, but funny. Like, literally, the Nude Ninjas, there's this scene of these three topless women who have katanas bought at the local CVS or wherever they found them. And they're basically saying, oh, master, it's like, why do we have to be nude? Is it because that way I forget their reason.
Unbound.
Yeah, unbound. He's basically like, yes, that is why.
No, he's like, you must answer that question for yourself. It's like, nice save, Wilhelm.
Yeah, and he was a gardener, and they came upon him and, quote, found out he was a master, end quote. And so hilarity ensues, I'm sure. And I thought we've seen a lot of bad movies.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say between MST3K and Riff Tracks, we have seen over 1,000 bad films.
Easily.
Sadly, most of which we'd never heard of before. And these look like ones I'd watch. I hate to say it. I would watch Dial S for Sex, which looks it's like one of the most boring sex movies ever, and Naked Ninjas. So on that respect, these are supposed to be films that our creative team had made before they're trying to make this.
Yeah, they're clearly a B movie team, although they don't want maybe a D movie team. They clearly maybe a double D movie team. Hey-o!
I was going to say it too.
They clearly want to. I mean, Clive, the director, really wants to be taken seriously. He's got the pretentiousness of a student director.
Yeah.
And Marvin really wants to be a big wheeler dealer, and it's the Ed Wood syndrome. They think they're better than they are.
Well, and they initially get quite a chunk of change to make this thing.
Yeah,
although it's
$15 million.
Well, at one point then they said they only got 6, so it's hard. But even $6 million.
Yeah.
We watched Deep House, which only had a budget of $1 million, and those people did a lot for $1 million. Entertain Us was not one of the things.
No, but it looked good.
Yes, it did. See our entire episode on Deep House for reasons I can't go into right now, but just trust me. So they're trying to make this film. Now, the question I have for you, Max, is who's making the documentary?
The guys holding the cameras.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, there's nothing. There's no, what is it, Marty DeBurgi figure in this. We don't know who's making the documentary. We don't know what it's a documentary for. Is it, is this a cautionary tale? Except at the end, spoiler, we find out that the movie was incredibly successful.
Well, you realize...
But the idea is they're making it at the time. They're making it as it's happening, so they didn't know it was going to be successful.
So what happens is they're making this movie, and they have a cinematographer who prefers not to light anything. He wants all of the scenes, especially the Garden of Eden, to be in total darkness, because that exemplifies the darkness of the human soul and whatever. So I'm amazed they didn't fire him. But anyway... The first time they're shooting scenes, we're seeing some of the stuff. We don't see scenes initially. We see some of the actors. And one of my favorite auditions is one of the guys trying out for God. And he literally walks in the room and stands there and flips the light on and off.
Behold! Click, 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 click.
I laughed. It made me... I thought it was funny.
That was funny. I also... I like the screenwriter, whose name we never learned, but the guy, I just love that line. I didn't write the script. Because this is from the Bible.
Right.
I didn't write the script. God wrote it.
Yeah.
Through me.
Past you, more likely.
Okay.
With additional dialogue by Sam Krubish. There's another.
I don't remember the son. One of them was talking about how he was in his ABBA cover band.
Oh, right.
Bjorn Again. That I laughed at.
I did too. But anyway, we don't see any of the film until finally they've been shooting stuff and they're like saying things like, we have to go to the actual Mount Ararat. There's nothing like the real thing. We've got to go there and film in the real place. And one of them was like, well, how about Vasquez Rocks? And he's like, I am not filming at Vasquez Rocks. Doody-doody-doo. They're filming at Vasquez Rocks.
It's Vasquez Rock.
Which I've been to and actually was delighted to see because it's been in everything.
You know Vasquez Rock, even if you don't know the name or you don't know what a rock is. You've seen Vasquez Rock. It's in every movie. It's in every science fiction show. It's everywhere.
The best thing is when you go there and you go to the gift shop, they're selling Gorns, little stuffed Gorns, because they know their audience.
Oh, they do.
So we find finally the producers, because the money people, the studio. Mm-hmm. There's this one guy who's with the studio who hired them and seems to believe in them, but even
one is obsessed with Street Fighter.
Well, he kind of looks like he was in it, but he finally starts getting nervous, and the studio gets nervous. It's like, we need to see rushes, and so we see some rushes, and quite honestly, I want to see that film. It looks hilarious.
It looks like it could be pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam, isn't paradise wonderful?
It's just so... And it turns out she was trying out for a different part, and I think she was trying out for Mary Magdalene, and she got
No, she was trying out for the Virgin Mary.
Oh, that's right, the Virgin Mary. And she gets Eve and didn't know it was a nude scene, and I thought we were going to get another State and Maine, but no, she's like, we have a problem. I have a giant snake tattoo on my chest. So you see them filming her from behind a bush, but you can also see the snake occasionally. And I'm like, I want to see that film. It looks really funny. But of course, that's when the studio pulls the plug and they're like, no, we have to finish this film. This is our artistic triumph. And
But I also just the way the crew talks. If Jesus hits on me one more time. And when they're trying to do the walking on the miracle of walking on water, and they're trying to get all the disciples into a boat, and they realize they only have 8 disciples.
And everyone's like, how many are there?
And nobody knows. And it's still like, well, what are they? Oh, let's see this. Matthew, Peter, Paul, Mary.
Mary wasn't a disciple. That's a rock group. So, I mean,
nobody on set. Like, you're Catholic, right? Yeah, sure. How many disciples are there? Nobody knows.
Yeah. They decide on 10, and they pick 2 guys who are grips, and in the boat, one of them's still wearing his glasses. So whatever.
And I think one of them's still smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, well, because, tobacco was popular back then before it had been discovered in the New World. But
and then they have to cut Jesus from the movie to save money.
Right, after they've already shot scenes with him.
Yeah, and I still we've still got Moses. Maybe he can save us like he saved the Jews.
Well, and they have one of our favorite quotes ever. We'll fix it in post. What post? Keep flailing.
Keep flailing. Yep.
And the film starts. It's the overdub. In the beginning, there was nothing anywhere.
And they're playing, what is it? Something from the Nutcracker Suite.
Well,
because obviously they need public domain music.
Yeah. And there's at one point where there's a big... When they first introduce product placement, and this is when they've gone to Vasquez Rocks because they can't not shoot there because it's cheap, and they have Soupy Sales as Moses, and he comes out with those 2 tablets dangling a 6-pack of Coke.
Yep.
And of course the director flips his lid, and he's like, we can't do this. And the producer's like, look, I have money. The only way we can do money is product placement. And he's like, it's a Bible film. There is literally no place we can put this. And the producer's basically like, and the director walks out.
Here we get the Act 3 breakup,
right?
Where the producer and the director, the 2 boyfriends, break up. But you left out before that. What happens is the studio shuts it down.
No, I said that.
I said they pulled that plug. They stopped giving any money. So they're doing things like when they're filming the Nativity, they sneak onto the grounds of some random church in Santa Barbara or Santa Monica and just film at their creche.
Well, and there's a scene there that I like. So there's a cop who shows up in the middle saying, I need to see your permit. And they're like, it's into my other underwear or whatever. And
have you ever done any acting?
And the next shot is the cop in the film. And it's like, you know what?
He's done up as one of the wise men. And I love the line. Wow, what wonderful frankincense.
Well, it was originally assigned to the producer's girlfriend. I just
Who was
promised you
supposed to be
one
an
line.
angel. The angel doesn't speak.
So, there are moments in this film. They also had some money. And for me, it's like, well, you spent some of it on your little cameos, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I actually appreciate the fact that none of them are A-listers. But there's a couple of things they also spend money on that I'm like, why did you spend money on that? So one of the big scenes they're going to shoot is with Noah's Ark. And they have their production designer who has been talking about how he's designed this Ark, and he's got actual wood from Europe, from Israel. That's like wood that could have been used for the Ark, and blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And, we're waiting, and I kept expecting them to bring out, the 12-inch tall Stonehenge thing, right?
Yeah.
But they don't. They bring
out this huge, and it looks like it's going to be magnificent, but it won't fit in the sound stage. It can't get through the door. And can't you shave a few cubits off the door?
Yeah. So they spent money at least on the prow of this giant prop that we never see.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. And then almost immediately later, they spent money on a dead buffalo, which, okay, because... whatever. Why would you spend money on whatever? And I'm talking not about the people making the movie in the documentary or the mockumentary, but the people making the mockumentary. It was like, that was kind of weird.
That was odd. Might have been stuffed. I don't know.
A couple of other scenes that just made me laugh. There's a scene where they're doing post-dub and recording both music and sound effects. And one of them is making animal sounds.
That's right. They're at the nativity.
Into a vase.
And they need music, and the only music they can get is the producer played the accordion back in 8th grade. So he's playing accordion music at the nativity, and the director is going, "Bleh."
I'm sorry, it made me laugh. As dumb as this was, there are parts in here that didn't. There was one actor who's talking. They've taken the actor off to the side to do a little interview with him, and it's like, he's a pro. He's like, yeah, I've done a lot of stuff. I've been in a bunch of films. Maybe not huge roles in films, and maybe I was a Klingon for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I died, but I stayed dead. Like I did not move. It's like, okay.
I did like the sequence where Clive goes to his Uncle Sammy, clearly has money, to ask for money. And Sammy is just like, here, have a salami. Here, take this universal remote. Here, take this watch. Because I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, God, I know this guy. I think I was related to this guy.
Oh, dear. Well, and here's the thing, too. We find out, and this did not surprise me, that the person playing Clive Walton is actually Jewish and has changed his name because of Hollywood and stuff. And it's like, that's not a surprise. He actually, if you squinted and maybe threw some water in your eyes, he had a vague resemblance to a very young Steven Spielberg. But
a little, yeah. I think that might have been intentional. I don't know if he really wears glasses, but they put them on him, and
yeah, I don't know.
I also liked when they're filming the nativity scene, they have the Virgin Mary is working the clapper.
Oh, right.
Yep. That's how they have no money at all.
Yeah.
And also the bit there were some lines in here that I laughed that I thought were funny when they're trying to explain Moses' motivation to Soupy Sales. And he's, these people, they don't want to hear about any new commandments. They're happy with the old commandments. Like, oh God.
The 6 commandments about so
Yeah.
What else, Max?
When they're desperately trying to get this movie seen, because they finish it, by the skin of their teeth. They get back together. Marvin takes out a home equity line on his house.
Yeah.
And they actually finish it somehow. And they're doing like late night ads alongside 1-900 sex numbers.
Well, the best part is they break into the ad. It's not even alongside it. It's like in the middle of the 1-800 sex number. They just sort of, it gets fuzzy. They showed up, premiere this Saturday at such and such, and then it goes back to the sex.
Please see it. And I also recognized one of the patrons coming out because they're interviewing people as they see the movie. And, of course, they all hate it. Worst film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
One of those patrons I recognized, that was Chris Kattan.
Who's that?
he was on Saturday Night Live. He was Mango and Mr. Peepers, and he's done a few movies.
I think we have determined over the years, Max, that you and I were both in Saturday Night Live at one point.
I think we were. I don't really remember, but that could have been all of the drug.
Yeah, and Lorne Michaels didn't like either of us.
No, he really didn't. I did also like the line when they're talking about the movie. I wouldn't recommend it, not unless you read the book.
Yeah.
And the only paper to endorse them is the Communist Party, the what is it, the labor leader, or whatever
Something
the
like
communist
that, yeah.
newspaper is called. Yeah. I was a little thrown because around the 80s and 90s, there were a bunch of Bible or Jesus movies coming out, Last Temptation of Christ, etc.
Oh, you're forgetting the 70s and the Sun Classic, In Search of Historic Jesus.
Yeah, but that one didn't get protested.
No.
There's a protest outside their movie, about which I at first thought, oh, that's brilliant. They must have hired some people to protest, like William Castle doing to drum up interest. But no, they're actually there. I was like, oh, look, Mark 8:36. What the hell? It's like, oh, come on, there's no 36th chapter in Mark. This must be, it's like, no, yes, there is. It's a famous line for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and to lose his soul.
Well, see, what their movie needed was more of the Tingler.
Yeah, they needed the Tingler, yeah. Or they needed a mant running around the... I also like Eve Plum's line, I just want my money. I've got a dog to feed. And then it turns out we have a sort of Tommy Wiseau situation.
That's exactly where I went.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought. It's like, oh, it's like The Room.
Yeah.
Because the people who start seeing it late at night think it's a comedy and they think it's hilarious. And it makes $42 million.
Yeah. And I will say, I had a little prediction at the end. I said, I bet the director and producer waste all their money trying to make a sequel that's also a cult film. Because that has happened many times before.
Well, they say that in the little, blurbs they put at the end of documentaries that they're going to do the Iliad.
Yeah, which you can't do it. It doesn't work. It does not work.
We know this. See the movie Troy. Actually, don't see the movie Troy.
Well, I don't even necessarily mean that, but like trying to make a cult film. That's, for example, the sequel to Rocky Horror, Shock Treatment.
Yes, that did not work.
Nope. You can't make bad movies that become cult films on purpose. Mm-hmm. It has to be sincere. People will understand that, and they will not go and make a big deal out of it.
It's the same problem with Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Right. And you notice there's even, did you watch all the way to the end? There's a post-credit scene.
Well, it's a scene.
Well, yes, they're outside the theater with all the fans, and Marvin is playing the accordion.
Yeah. So stay tuned all the way through the credits. This is
yeah. You don't want to miss one pithy moment.
Well, heck, if you've stayed tuned this long, maybe you'll stay tuned a little longer and see if Max and I actually like this film.
The finish.
So Max,
that was a really good transition.
I know, for a change, right? Neither of us had really heard of this. You'd vaguely heard of it.
Nope. I heard the name. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know it was a mockumentary, for one thing.
I actually thought it was a lot more recent than it was. It's actually a 30-year-old film, so, Mm-hmm. So what did you think?
I thought it was boring, most of it.
Okay.
The worst part, it wasn't bad enough to be funny. And they had such incredibly rich material, I think they chickened out. There is some humor, but it's very safe. They were trying, I think, to go for something like The Producers. Can we have the singing Hitlers over here and the dancing Hitlers over here? And some of it made me laugh. I absolutely will say it did. Some of it was funny. Overall, I just thought the whole thing was, so close. What about you?
I mean, one of my notes was this film often approaches funny without actually getting there. The thing is that having talked about it with you, I actually think I like it better than I did when I watched it. And sometimes, again, watching a movie alone for me is not as much fun as watching it with other people. I'm going to find that out today when I go to see a sold-out show of Wicked.
Oh, dear.
We'll see.
That's right.
Oops, that gives something away. Shh. Mm-hmm. I think
you'll ruin the magic.
Well, I apparently people sing to it, which I'm not looking for. I'm not looking forward to that. So I think it's basically it is Spinal Tap, but for movies. Let's face it, that's what it is. It's exactly the same setup. It's exactly the same idea. I think there are some very funny moments. Whenever I laugh out loud alone, to me, that means this is very funny because I just don't.
That's a good sign.
It's not very long. It's an hour and 20 minutes, an hour 22, I suppose. It was a lot of fun seeing these people pop up that I'm like, why are they here? Of all people, how did you find them? And why did they say yes? I think I probably enjoyed it more than you did. I don't think it's great. I think it could have been better. I thought that the footage of all the movies they were making were more entertaining than the actual mockumentary of them making the film. But I still enjoyed them. I definitely give people credit who've got $1 and managed to make a film. That being said, we're talking a C picture. It's an average rating. It's got some great parts, but as a whole, it's not that memorable.
No, I think that's right.
If you got an hour and a half and nothing else to do, and you like this format, sure, why not? I don't think it's a bad entry in the mockumentary. I just don't think it's bringing a lot new to the table.
That's the thing. It's not terribly bad. It's not very good. It's just really, like you say, it's a C. It's a very average movie.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I think it had the potential to be more.
And you may be right that they're like, well, we could do this and we're going to choose the Bible, but we really can't make that much fun of it or we'll get people pissed off.
Yeah.
And so the Iliad, of course, I think it wouldn't have been as ripe for this because less people know it and or that tied to it than they are.
Yeah.
But, you know, you pick your fights. And if you happen to be Andy Dick, don't pick a fight with Lou Ferrigno.
No, don't pick a fight with anybody over the age of 4, really.
Yeah, so there's your
Tiny
life lesson.
little man. Although, I gotta say, I was impressed he could do clapping push-ups.
At all.
At all. I mean, he did it in the worst possible place, in the middle of the sand, but...
Didn't learn a lesson after
he could
the first
do
one.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I guess it's easier if you only weigh 40 pounds, but...
Don't know. But what I do know is that we have a poll question that you folks, well, we'd like you to answer. You don't have to answer, but we'd really like you to.
Yes, please tell us, whose opinion most affects your choice of movie viewing, your friends or professional movie critics? And you can answer this by going to our website, deep in the bowels of the dark web. Okay, it's not particularly dark. It's very well lit and quite safe.
There's no bowels either.
MaxMikeMovies.com. Yes, no bowels.
No, or a Spanish.
Yep, you can go there and leave a comment, or you can email us directly at us@maxmikemovies.com. You can find us on the Bach Force.
Facebook.
With, whatever.
And Bluesky.
And Bluesky. We're also on Bluesky under Max Mike Movies.
Yeah.
And, of course, we are on the podcast app all throughout the extensions of time and space, and God wants you to listen to us.
And you can also, of course, call our God-approved Stop
hotline.
that.
Yes, he'll answer the phone himself.
You insulted people enough in the opening, Mr. Fired.
I'm going all in.
Go all out.
You can give us a call at our hotline at 617-398-7266. That number again, 617-398-7266. God is standing by.
Stop it.
Well, you don't know he's not standing by.
Yes.
He just may not be standing by at our phone.
Whatever. We don't even have a dog standing by.
But that is the end of our series. Ready when you are, CB. And we are going to be starting a brand new series. And who is responsible for this series? Why, you are. You have no one to blame but yourselves, listeners and readers.
We asked them.
Yes, well, they weren't forced to respond. Okay, they were. I sent Bumpy to each of their homes to threaten to poop on their pets.
Okay,
yes.
So you sent the fictional horse.
Yes, I did. I sent the pantomime horse. Yes. Yes, these are movies that have been suggested by you and each other. We are simply calling this, remember, you asked for it.
Because you did.
And we're starting off with, well, Mike, what are we starting off with, although you kind of gave that away?
Yeah. So Adam Mark, one of our longtime listeners and poll question answerers, our essayist,
Hi, Adam.
our scholar, actually kind of instigated this. Max and I had been talking about the idea of doing a listener request show or series. And as we were almost literally as we were talking about it, up on a comment on Facebook pops Adam Mark with, hey, would you guys consider viewing Wicked? And I was like, I have the most amazing coincidence to tell you. So we're going to have a wicked good time
Wicked neat.
In 2 weeks, we are taking a week off because of stuff and reasons.
Mike is having his nose hemorrhoids operated on.
That is such a disgusting idea. Only Max could come up with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sit on my face and tell me that you love me. I'll sit in your face. Anyway, so in 2 weeks, we are going to be discussing the brand new, just came out in theaters now, I hope it will still be then, Wicked Part 1. Something I did not know when I agreed to do this film.
Yeah.
Part 1 with
Part 1.
Part 2 nowhere in sight. But until then, wait for us in the Lambda Zone.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.